Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be trying some new makeup by Makeup Revolution. I went to Ulta and I saw that they had this huge display. I think it's called Makeup Revolution Pro. So I went ahead and picked up some items. They also had the new Revolution Conceal and Hydrate foundation and the Conceal and Hydrate concealer. So I will be using those today. And I also picked up two palettes by Revolution Pro, Night and Day and Earth and Stone. I picked up a powder. I also have a blur stick. I also picked up some eyeshadow primers, a highlighter, a shimmer powder, and I picked up some glitter liquid eyeshadows. So let's go ahead and get started with applying all of these products. And sorry guys, my hair is looking crazy because it's wet. I just got out of the shower and I wanted to go ahead and apply the makeup and then I can do my hair and all that stuff at the end. I will be wearing this makeup all day long. I am running just maybe a couple of errands. I'm not going anywhere special, so I will be wearing it as long as I can today. So I'm gonna try to do a couple of check-ins today and let you guys know how the products are performing. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started. I am gonna do my eyes first because I feel like when I do my eyes first, if there's any shadow fallout, I don't have to retouch my foundation or my concealer. So we're gonna go ahead and start with eyes first. So I've already done all of my skincare and I also put my sunblock on. Okay guys, let's go ahead and start with eye primer. I did pick up two eye primers from Revolution Pro and they're called Eye Elements. One is in Central and one is in Core. This is Central. It's more of like a flesh tone and it's close to the MAC Painterly Paint Pot. And then this one is Core and this is close to Soft Ochre by MAC. But they look very, very similar to the MAC Paint Pots. And so today I'm gonna use Core, the one that looks like Soft Ochre. I'm gonna use that one as my primer today. And I'm just gonna use this, it's my Ray Ray brush. It's just a flat shader brush and it's really pigmented. It seems like the consistency is a little bit creamier than the Paint Pots. So let's see how it goes on the eye. It's going on really creamy, spreading very nicely. So it's not like really tugging my eyelid. I'm just dabbing that over with my finger to distribute the product all over my eyelid. That's really nice and opaque. Yeah, that looks really good. We'll see how our eyeshadow holds up on that. Okay, so far it looks really nice and opaque. It feels like it's already dried down on my eyelids, so that's a good thing. It's not creasing or anything like that. We'll see how the eyeshadow goes on my eyelids here in a bit. So for eyeshadow, I got the Revolution Pro Night and Day and the Revolution Pro Earth and Stone. These are some beautiful palettes. So at first I saw these online. I pulled it up to where you could look to see if you could find it in store. They did have them at an Ulta nearby. So I went by there and I wanted to look at them first before I actually picked them up because sometimes online it's a little deceiving. The colors look really bright online and then when you get to the store and look at the palette, sometimes it's not the same shades. So I went ahead and went to the store and when I saw this palette, they were completely out of it and I was so upset because the tester that they had, the colors were so vibrant and they were all out of this palette. So what I had them do was order me one and I think it was like 2 or 3 days shipping. So it came to me fairly quickly. So anyway, let me show you what the palette is. It's called Night and Day. So it looks like this. It's a beautiful white palette with like some reptile embossing and it says Night and Day in gold and it's kind of like, it feels like kind of like leather. I know it's not leather, but it feels like leather on the outside. But you open it up and you get a mirror and then these are your shades right here. Now there is a plastic piece here that has all the names of the shades on it. But I'm gonna take that off so you guys can see the true shades without the light reflecting on the plastic. So these are your shades right here. I especially love this blue right here, so I am gonna use the blue shade today. The Earth and Stone is just as beautiful as the Night and Day. So this one they did have in store. They only had like maybe 2 or 3 left, so I picked one up. It's just like the Night and Day palette in that it has that leather feel to it and also the reptile embossing on the cover. And then when you open it up, same thing, has a mirror. Okay, so these are the shades right here without the plastic. I don't know guys, I'm getting the Pat McGrath vibes with these palettes. When I first looked at them in store, that's exactly what I thought of. I thought of Pat McGrath and her Mothership palette. So I hope that these perform somewhat differently. I do have a Pat McGrath palette, a Mothership palette. I can't remember which one I have, but I will say that I don't pick it up as often because I feel like it's a little more difficult to work with. So I'm hoping these won't be as difficult. I hope this one performs maybe a little bit better. If you have the Mothership palettes and you're able to work with them, that's great. But for me, it's a little bit harder to use than most palettes, and they're more expensive. And these are like, what, maybe a quarter of the price. I'll use the Earth and Stone in another video. I'll try to do like a quick tutorial with this one so you guys can see how this one performs. But today I really want to use the Night and Day because I love the blue in this palette. I want to see if it comes off just as vibrant as it looks in the palette. So let me grab some brushes and I'll be right back. So I'm going to go into Paved. That's this shade right here. And I'm using an It's My Ray Ray number 6 brush. I'm gonna use that in my crease and a little bit above my crease. Now when I'm sticking my brush in there is a little bit of kick up, but it's not bad. And that stuff really doesn't bother me as long as it performs well on the eye. Okay, that Paved shade is really nice. It's gonna be a perfect transition color. Okay, it's not super pigmented, which is okay because I'm using it as a transition color, so I think that'll be okay. So it does have some pigmentation to it, and it's very soft. It's going on really nicely and blending really well. So the next shade I want to go into is that blue, and I'm just going to use a Sigma blending, I think this is an E25 brush, and then I'm just going to go right on the corner and kind of press that in. That blue is pretty. Yep, that blue has really nice pigmentation to it, guys. Let's see how it blends. Basically what I'm doing is just pressing that pigment into the corner. And then what I want to do is once I get the pigment on there, then I'm going to come into the crease, but I'm not going to go all the way over. So I'm just coming a little bit halfway into the crease, just gently and lightly. I don't want too much pigment in the crease. I want it more on the outer corner. And if it looks messy on the outside, we're gonna clean that up. So don't fret, it'll be okay. We'll get it to work. I'm going in with a little bit more blue only because I want a little bit more pigmentation on the corner because I blended it. So now that we have the blue on, what I want to do is go back into Paved, and I'm just gonna use a MAC 217 and just put a little bit on my brush, not too much. I'm just gonna kind of blend the edges out with that Paved shade, just right on the edge. Don't blend it too much because you don't want to overpower the blue. You just kind of want to blend the edges out. Okay, so now that I have blended the edges out, I'm going to go in with this Anastasia 18 brush. I'm going to go ahead and go into Steel, this shade right here. It's kind of like a purple, but it has some iridescence to it. And just to let you guys know, the blue is called Midnight. So I'm taking the Anastasia 18 brush. I'm going to dip it into that Steel shade, and then I'm going to put that on my lid. It's pretty, but it's not coming off as pigmented as I want it to be. I think I'm gonna go ahead and wet my brush, and then I'm gonna try to go back into that shade and place it on my lid. I'm just using my Glow Watermelon Mist. Let's see if this makes a difference. Wow, this shade is so pretty. Now what I'm doing is I'm kind of just like blending it in with the blue, and I may have to go back in with the blue a little bit so that I can mesh those shades together. Now on my eye, it doesn't look like purple. It looks more green to me than it does purple, but it's still a beautiful, beautiful shade. So now I'm gonna take that same brush that I used for Midnight, and I'm just gonna put a little bit on there and then kind of mesh everything together. Okay, so that's it for the eyes for now. So I'm just gonna take a makeup wipe and then kind of clean up the edges. I don't want real sharp edges with this look. I want it to be more like smoked out at the end. Okay, so before we go into foundation, I am going to put on some primer. So I'm gonna go in with the Milk Hydro Primer because this is like my go-to primer right now. I do have a couple other primers that I like, but this one is the one that I reach for the most. I'm gonna use this on the perimeter of my face, and then I'm gonna go in with the Revolution Pro Blur Stick. I'm gonna use this on the center of my face just to blur out my pores, to blur out, you know, those fine lines that I have, and see how it works for blurring those areas. So this is new to the line. It is a blur stick. It's fairly large in comparison to most blur sticks. A lot of times you'll see them like half this size, but this one is huge. It's like a lot bigger, and that's not too bad because it covers more areas. So This is what the stick looks like, and it twists from the bottom so you can twist it up. I'm just gonna go into my skin with the blur stick and see how that works out. If it looks like it's peeling or if it's just like kind of balling up, then I'll go ahead and use my fingers to warm up the product and place it on the center of my face. So let me go ahead and put this on. It looks like it's blurring those pores really well. It kind of reminds me of the Milk Makeup blur stick. We'll just put some on the center here. It looks nice. It looks smooth. We'll see how it holds up with the foundation. So let me go in with my Milk Primer. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to go in with a sponge on one side and a brush on the other. I think what I'll do is I'll go in with the sponge on this side here, and then I'll use the brush on my left-hand side. The brush that I'm going to be using today is one that I've been loving, and it's by IT Cosmetics. It is the Flawless Complexion Brush. I love this brush. It distributes the foundation and blends it in so beautifully. I can't get over how much I love this brush. So this side is for the foundation, but this side right here is where you can use it to actually touch up in those areas where you can't get to with a brush, or use it for concealer. So today I'm gonna be using this side here to apply foundation on this side, and then I'm gonna use my Wet n Wild sponge to actually apply the foundation on my right side. So let's talk about the foundation. This is the new Revolution Conceal and Hydrate Radiance Foundation with hyaluronic acid. It's a medium to full coverage. So I actually got the shade F10. It was a little bit difficult to pick my shade. There weren't many shades to choose from to begin with. So I don't know if they're coming out with more shades, but my Ulta didn't have like a wide range of shades. I can't even remember how many they had. I just remember that there weren't that many. So I went ahead and picked F10. I hope it's not too dark for me. If it is, we'll work with it. I can put some bronzer on my neck and down my chest, but that's not a big deal. We can work with that. But it does say here that it is a Radiance foundation. Of course, it's completely different than the foundation that they came out with before, which was the Conceal and Correct, if I'm not mistaken. It wasn't Conceal and Matte or anything like that. I'll put the name right here, but it was the first foundation that they came out with that looked like this, and that foundation did not really work for me. It just looked really cakey, it broke up. It just didn't work for my skin. So I'm hoping that this one will be a little bit different. So yeah, so I purchased this one, and I think this one was $12 if I'm not mistaken. And then I also got the concealer, but we'll go into that in just a minute. Let me go ahead and show you. This is a glass bottle here, and then it comes with a pump, and I'm gonna go ahead and shake it up. I always try to shake these foundations up. Let me go ahead and pump. There's one pump right there. As you can see, it's not really watery, and it's not a very thick foundation. It's just kind of in between. It actually looks very creamy. So we're gonna go ahead and start with one pump, and I'm gonna use that on the right side of my face where I'm gonna use the sponge. I'm just gonna dot it like that, and then press it into the skin. Ooh. That covered up that redness that I had going on. Wow, that covered up a lot of my hyperpigmentation. Oh, that's pretty. I'm gonna use a little bit more, just right here. Look at that, guys. Without, with. Look how beautiful that looks. Gosh, I'm so surprised of how pretty it looks and how natural it looks. It doesn't look like glowy or anything like that. It looks very natural, kind of satin-like. It's really, really pretty. I didn't use all the pumps, so I'm gonna go ahead and use part of that on, or the rest of it on my left side where I'm gonna use the brush. And I may need a little bit more because it looks like it only covered this much. So let's just start with this much, see what happens. So let me put a little bit more. I put another pump on the back of my hand. I'm just gonna dot it. I will say that the brush gave it a little bit more coverage, but it doesn't look as seamless as with the sponge. I think the sponge gives more of a natural coverage, a natural look. So both ways look really beautiful. I just think that the brush gives a little bit more coverage. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the rest of the pump all over my face because, like I said, I like that this gives more coverage, but I really like the finish of the beauty sponge. So that's like 2 whole pumps for the entire face. Okay, with that second pump, it gave complete full coverage for me. I can hardly see any of my hyperpigmentation and it looks super pretty on the skin. I wanted to mention too, it feels really lightweight on the skin. It doesn't feel like drying. It feels really hydrating. Like it kind of feels like water is sitting on my skin. I'm gonna wait to see if it has to set, but while I'm waiting, I'm gonna go ahead and go in with the Conceal and Hydrate Radiance Concealer. I got mine in the shade C9.5. Here is the doe foot applicator. It is pretty much the same shape as their other concealer that they have. It's pretty much the same exact size of that. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that right here underneath my eyes. Oops, this is a little bit yellow and dark. I thought I got a lighter one. I don't know why I got this one. If I need to lighten it up, I'll put like a lighter powder underneath my eyes, but it is dark. It's very yellow. It's super yellow. Oh my gosh, it's really yellow. I might have to go get another shade for sure if I like this concealer. As far as like the consistency, it's very creamy. It's blending really well into the under eyes. It's very full coverage, which is nice because if you're looking for a full coverage concealer, it is up that alley. It looks really good under the eyes. I think it looks really smooth. I just think it needs to be brightened up a little bit. But yeah, it looks really nice. I really like it. And the foundation is settling in really well. It's looking really nice and smooth. It doesn't feel like wet or anything, but it feels really good. It feels hydrating. So for powder, I did buy the Hydra Matte Translucent Setting Powder, and this is it right here. It says here that it's an ultra fine mattifying powder with hyaluronic acid. So I will be using this under my eyes as well as all over my face. So here's the packaging here. Really pretty packaging for this powder. It looks very luxurious. In here it's got a little piece of tape, but that's it. It has a little sifter there. So I'm just gonna take my Wet n Wild sponge and dip a little bit in there, get a little bit on the sponge, and then press that into the under eyes. Before I set this eye, I want to let you know that looking at the concealer, it's not creasing at all. And I've had it on there for a few seconds. But this powder, setting it on the under eyes, makes it look like super smooth. Look at that. Look how smooth that looks. So now I'm going to set my face. I'm going to put a little bit in the cap. Now this sifter, I will say that it's not one of those sifters that gets all dirty. Look at that. You really have to press into the product or really shake it out and put it onto the cap. Look at that. It's just really fine, super fine. Honestly, that's a great thing because that just means that it's gonna go on a lot smoother over your foundation. And I'm just buffing that all over. Now, I will say that it looks like it kind of lightened up the foundation, but it didn't make it look like a white cast or anything. It looks like there's just a little bit lightness to it, but not bad. I think it leaves like a pretty look on the skin. It's very smooth. So far, I really like it. So I want to go in with this Makeup Revolution Bronzer Reloaded. I don't know if this is actually new to the line or not. I was looking for it because I saw it online. I don't remember it saying that it was new or anything like that, but I did find one at my Ulta. I was looking for it and I happened to find it where the little mini product section is. I didn't find it where the display was, which somebody must have picked it up and then put it back down. Better for me that they did because I got lucky and got to get one. So here's the shade right here. It's not very dark. So I'm gonna try to swatch it, but it's not very dark. It looks kind of like it has some sheen to it as well. It is there, it's just not super dark. But I'm gonna use that same brush that I used for the powder, and I'm just gonna go into the bronzer. I wanna put this all over like the perimeter of my face. It is very light. I can tell that I have it on, you know, but it's typically not the type of bronzer that I go for, but I can tell that I have the bronzer on. I thought that it would have more of a sheen to it because when I swatched it, it looks like there's a sheen to it. It doesn't look like it has one, but it is pretty. It is a pretty bronzer. So next what I want to do is finish off with this skin finish in Radiance. This is also a Revolution Pro product. I saw this in the display and I swatched it, and this looks so beautiful. Here is the shade here. Just really pretty. Okay, let me go ahead and use that same brush. And I cleaned it off on a towel. So I want to go ahead and swirl that in there. I don't want to put too much. I'm going to go ahead and go on the perimeter of my face as well with this. So I like this. I don't think I like it for my forehead. As you can see, it's like super like highlighted, but I do like it for my cheek because you can see that glow right there on the cheekbone. It's really pretty, but I don't think I like it for all over, like to buff it into the skin like I was just doing. I think this part looks way too like shiny. I just want to buff that out a little bit so it doesn't look so shiny. Okay guys, I'm gonna go off camera. I'm gonna do my eyebrows. I'm gonna grab a blush and some lipstick. And then when I come back, we'll go ahead and finish off the eyes. Okay guys, I did my eyebrows and I also did my blush, and I used an Essence blush and a CoverGirl brow pencil. I'll list all the products down below for you guys, but I want to go ahead and do the bottom lash line. I'm gonna start with that Paved shade, and I kind of just wanna smoke it out at the bottom. I'm gonna go in with that blue, and I'm using that Anastasia 18 brush. And I'm just going to put a little bit on my brush and then go close to the lash line. Just like that. I want to go into Steel, and I'm going to take that same brush, but I'm going to use the back side that's clean. And I'm just going to go into the inner corner here, or just like halfway in, and then kind of bring it into the blue. So I looked for a lip gloss that I had from Makeup Revolution that I really loved, and I could not find it. So I'm not going to use Makeup Revolution on my lips today. I am going to use this L'Oreal Coconut Plump. It's just kind of like a lip gloss. This is actually new to their line, so I bought one, and like I said, it's Coconut Plump. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on my lips. I did line my lips with a Rimmel pencil, and I will list that down below. I'm going to put this all over. Feels really nice on the lips. Pretty shade too. Really pretty nude. All right guys, I'm not gonna go ahead and set my face with any spray or anything. I'm just gonna leave it the way it is. So let me just tell you about the makeup for now. It looks really good. Everything looks nice on the skin. It looks very smooth, and it does look very hydrating. I've had like a dry patch right here on my cheek, and this part looks really hydrated. I'm really surprised how well the foundation looks. So yeah, so what I'm gonna do is go ahead and do something with this wet hair. Let me see, I'm not sure what time it is right now. Let me go check real quick. Okay guys, I checked, it's 11:30. So I've actually had the makeup on for about an hour and 30 minutes. So yeah, so I'm just gonna see how this works out. I'll check with you guys probably in another few hours and give you some updates on how everything is working, and then hopefully check in at the end of the day. So anyway, thank you guys for joining me, and stay tuned for my first check-in. Hey guys, welcome back. This is my first check-in. It is 3:45 in the afternoon, so that means I've had the foundation on for almost 6 hours. So I just want to do a quick update. I'm not going to be on here long because I want to try and check in a few more hours. So I'm going to make this one real quick. I'm going to tell you right now that I am loving this foundation. It looks so smooth on the skin. It looks very hydrating. If I look a little red, it's because I've been downstairs like cooking, so I've been over the stove. But guys, I'm loving this. I love the way the concealer looks. It's very smooth. That setting powder is bomb. Now the concealer is a little bit dark for me, but I think if I got a lighter shade, I would be totally fine. But other than that, it looks amazing. My skin looks really good. I have been a little hot, So I do have a little bit of oiliness coming from here. It's not so bad where I like look like a hot mess, but I can tell right here is a little bit of oil, and it might be that blur stick that I used. You know, that's the first time I've used it. I normally don't use that for my T-zone, and you guys know my T-zone is oily. The perimeters of my face are normal. But other than that, if you look at all the makeup that I have on my face, it's still there, still intact. Forehead looks good. The eyeshadow primer, it has not creased at all. It just looks completely intact. It looks beautiful. The eyeshadows are beautiful, and I'm just loving it. I am sweating a little bit, but you know, let me do this. Let me go ahead and dab this. Okay, let me go ahead and dab some of this sweat off. Barely touching my face, just barely, just right there. Guys, I'm cooking, so I'm just getting a little hot downstairs. But anyway, other than that, love this foundation so far. Been 6 hours. It looks fabulous. It has not moved. It has not caked up. It has not faded on my skin. So I will try and check in another few hours. And yeah, so we'll see you in a bit. Okay guys, this is my last check-in. It's already 7 o'clock in the evening. So I've had the foundation on for about 9 hours, but so far I do have some oil just coming out from the sides of my nose. Looking at my under eyes, looking at my cheeks, everything is intact. The concealer is phenomenal. I'm gonna tell you, with that powder, it just looks so smooth and silky under my eyes. It just looks really pretty. But right here, of course, I've got some oils. I've got a little oil on the top of my nose and just a little bit right here on my chin, but mainly it's right here, and that's usually where I get oily. It didn't really settle in any fine lines except right here, like right here on the corners. It just started settling like right here, and I think it's just because I've gotten oily in that area, and plus I've eaten. So anyway, let me just read to you a little bit about this foundation. There's not much information on the Ulta website. It just says that it's specially formulated to suit every skin type and tone, but it's particularly beneficial for dry skin. With hyaluronic acid, it offers all day long radiance and glow without setting into fine lines or clinging to dry patches. Housed in a luxe glass bottle with a new pump applicator for added control, this foundation offers medium to full coverage. I will say that it does give a really nice radiance. I wouldn't say that it's super glowy. It looks more satiny, but like I said, I had this dry patch right here and it did not cling to the dry patch. It looks really smooth where I had that dryness. I do want to go over really quickly my thoughts of each product. I will say that I am head over heels for this Night and Day palette. I think it's a gorgeous palette. The shadows in the Night and Day blended super beautifully. They blended really well together. They meshed really well together. So I really liked the application of this eyeshadow. I can't wait to use the other shades in it. I just think it's so beautiful. And I can't wait to use the Earth and Stone. And just to let you know, I will be doing a tutorial using this one, so you guys will see how this performs. As far as the eyeshadow primer, I think this eyeshadow primer worked really well. It's very creamy. It blended in really beautifully. It's not drying at all on my eyelids, which is a plus, because I've noticed that sometimes when I do use primers that are opaque, they kind of get dry on my eyelids, but this one did not. It's very creamy. The blur stick, I don't know. I'm gonna have to try this again with a foundation that I've been using, like maybe my Stay Naked by Urban Decay. I might try it with that. So if it doesn't work, then I will be taking this back. The bronzer Reloaded is way too light for me. I really feel like it needed to be a little bit darker, but it would be beautiful for light to light medium skin tones. So this will unfortunately be going back. The Makeup Revolution Skin Finish Radiance, I really expected this to be more of a buffing type of formula, you know, where I could just go over the face and buff it in and it'd be really light. But I will say that it is a beautiful highlighter. If you're looking for something very subtle and something that's going to give you that glow from within, then I would go with the Skin Finish Radiance. For the Hydra Matte Powder, I really love this powder. I love it for the under eyes. I think it set that concealer beautifully. It didn't crease. It just made that concealer look so flawless under my eyes. It says it's a Hydra Matte. It doesn't feel drying. It looks somewhat matte, but it doesn't look dry or cakey under my eyes. It just looks like a soft matte. Very flawless, very beautiful under the eyes. So yeah, I'm gonna keep this powder. For the nude lipstick by L'Oreal, I love this. Yeah, I hope they come out with more nude shades. I really like this shade. I thought this was really beautiful on the lips. It really feels soft and nourishing on the lips as well. Now, I did not get to use these. These are so gorgeous. As you can see, they're kind of like those liquid shadows. So I'm gonna try to use this in a tutorial soon. If I don't get to do that, then I'm gonna go ahead and try to test them out on my own. And then I'll just give you an update in my monthly favorites, or you know, just an update in general on some of the products that I've been using. Okay guys, that's it for my wear test and my first impressions for those products. I hope that you guys enjoyed this type of video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye.